Imagine standing beside the Nile nearly 3,000 years ago. Before you stretches a kingdom so wealthy that its temples gleam with gold, its markets overflow with exotic treasures, and its rulers are believed to possess the wealth of the gods themselves. But this fortune did not simply appear beneath the desert sun. It was earned through dangerous journeys, hidden mines, and an empire built upon one of history's greatest economic miracles. Tonight, we uncover the forgotten story of how ancient Egypt became the richest kingdom of its age. Before Egypt possessed mountains of gold or commanded distant trade routes, it possessed something even more precious: a river unlike any other. Each year, the Nile overflowed its banks, leaving behind rich black soil that transformed an otherwise unforgiving desert into a land of remarkable abundance. Villages became towns, towns became cities, and over generations, a powerful kingdom emerged from the rhythm of its annual floods. Yet fertile fields alone could not create legendary wealth. Beyond the green horizon, hidden opportunities awaited discovery beneath the desert sun. Far from the fertile Nile Valley lay a very different world. Here, among barren mountains where almost nothing could survive, ancient Egypt discovered its greatest treasure. Veins of gold threaded silently through ancient rock, waiting for determined hands to uncover them. Mining demanded exhausting labor beneath relentless heat, where every fragment of glittering stone promised unimaginable value. The precious metal that emerged from these remote deserts would adorn temples, finance armies, reward loyal officials, and strengthen the authority of generations of pharaohs. South of Egypt stretched Nubia, a region so rich in precious metals that later generations would simply remember it as the land of gold. Control of this frontier became one of the pharaoh's greatest ambitions. Fortresses protected trade routes, while expeditions ventured deeper into unfamiliar landscapes in search of ever richer deposits. Every shipment returning north strengthened royal authority and filled temple storehouses with dazzling treasure. Yet gold alone did not build an empire. Wealth required movement, and movement depended upon trade. Ancient Egypt's wealth did not remain hidden within its borders. Roads across the desert and waterways stretching toward distant shores carried goods farther than many imagined possible. Donkey caravans transported ivory, incense, ebony, and precious stones, while ships ventured across the Red Sea toward mysterious lands celebrated for their rare treasures. Every successful expedition expanded Egypt's influence beyond the Nile Valley. With each exchange, new ideas, exotic materials, and extraordinary fortunes flowed steadily back toward the kingdom's magnificent temples and royal courts. To many Egyptians, true wealth belonged not to individuals, but to the gods. The kingdom's temples became vast centers of economic power, receiving gold, grain, livestock, and luxury goods from every corner of the empire. Their treasuries stored extraordinary riches, while thousands of workers, priests, artisans, and scribes managed immense estates under divine authority. Behind towering stone walls lay fortunes beyond imagination, carefully recorded and fiercely protected. Yet beyond these sacred halls, political ambition was quietly reshaping the destiny of Egypt itself. Behind the towering walls of Egypt's palaces lay carefully guarded treasuries, unlike anything the ancient world had seen. Gold flowed inward from distant mines, tribute arrived from conquered lands, and taxes collected across the kingdom filled storerooms with remarkable abundance. Every necklace, every ingot, every precious stone was carefully counted by royal scribes, whose records reflected the heartbeat of the state itself. Wealth was never merely a display of luxury. It became the foundation upon which the pharaoh exercised authority over an entire civilization. Yet collecting treasure required careful organization. In ancient Egypt, wealth depended not only upon gold, but upon knowledge. The kingdom's scribes transformed harvests, trade goods, and royal decrees into orderly records that could be trusted across generations. Their ability to read and write granted them extraordinary influence within society. Every shipment of grain, every herd of cattle, and every ounce of precious metal passed beneath their attentive eyes. Without their careful accounting, even the richest empire could descend into confusion. Through ink and papyrus, Egypt quietly mastered the art of administration. While pharaohs measured their wealth in gold, ordinary Egyptians measured prosperity through the harvest. The fertile floodplains provided grain, vegetables, flax, and fruit that sustained millions of lives. Families rose with the sun to tend fields, repair irrigation canals, and care for livestock whose value extended far beyond food alone. Every successful harvest strengthened the kingdom's economy, allowing artisans, builders, merchants, and priests to flourish together. This steady rhythm of daily life became the quiet engine powering Egypt's extraordinary greatness. Soon, foreign merchants would arrive seeking its abundance. Egypt's prosperity attracted travelers from lands both familiar and mysterious. Merchant vessels arrived bearing fragrant incense, towering cedar timbers, brilliant gemstones, and metals unavailable within the Nile Valley. In return, Egypt offered grain, linen, papyrus, crafted jewelry, and above all, gold. These exchanges carried more than valuable goods. Languages mingled, artistic styles evolved, and distant kingdoms forged relationships that shaped centuries of diplomacy. Every marketplace became a meeting place between worlds. Beyond the horizon, however, one expedition would capture Egypt's imagination like no other. Among Egypt's most celebrated trading partners was the mysterious land of Punt, remembered as a place of extraordinary abundance. Royal expeditions crossed the Red Sea to obtain fragrant myrrh, incense trees, ebony, ivory, rare animals, and other precious treasures valued by temples and palaces alike. Reliefs carved upon temple walls proudly recorded these remarkable journeys, preserving one of history's earliest accounts of international exploration. The voyage to Punt symbolized Egypt's confidence upon distant waters. Yet prosperity also inspired ambition, and powerful neighbors watched Egypt's growing wealth with increasing interest. As Egypt's influence expanded, wealth arrived not only through commerce, but also through diplomacy and conquest. Foreign rulers sought favorable relations with the pharaoh, offering precious gifts that demonstrated respect and secured valuable alliances. In other regions, victorious campaigns brought tribute that filled royal storehouses year after year. Gold, livestock, timber, and luxury goods flowed toward the Nile, strengthening Egypt's prestige across the ancient world. Yet every treasure carried another message: that the pharaoh's power reached far beyond Egypt's fertile riverbanks. Egyptian temples were far more than places of worship. They owned fertile farmland, employed thousands of workers, maintained workshops, and managed enormous storehouses filled with grain and valuable goods. Priests directed these vast institutions with remarkable organization, ensuring offerings reached the gods while resources supported the kingdom itself. Every harvest and every donation strengthened these sacred estates. Within their walls, religion and economy became inseparable, creating centers of wealth that rivaled even the royal palace. But another remarkable industry quietly flourished beside the Nile. Raw materials became true wealth only through skilled hands. Egyptian craftsmen transformed humble stone, gleaming gold, colorful glass, and rare gemstones into masterpieces admired throughout the ancient world. Their jewelry reflected the brilliance of the sun, while elegant furniture, ceremonial weapons, and sacred statues revealed astonishing artistic precision. These workshops supplied palaces, temples, and diplomatic gifts that carried Egypt's reputation across distant kingdoms. Every finished object represented countless hours of dedication. Yet one creation above all others proclaimed the glory of the pharaoh. Gold held a meaning beyond material value. To the Egyptians, its untarnished brilliance reflected the eternal nature of the gods, especially the radiant power of the sun. When a pharaoh wore golden ornaments, he did more than display wealth. He embodied divine authority itself. Crowns, ceremonial jewelry, and sacred regalia reminded every observer that the ruler governed not merely through military strength, but through heavenly order. This union of religion and kingship inspired loyalty throughout the kingdom. Still, preserving such prosperity demanded constant vigilance. Extraordinary wealth inevitably attracted extraordinary dangers. Egypt's deserts, borders, and waterways required constant protection from raiders, rival kingdoms, and those tempted by its immense riches. Fortresses guarded mining regions. Soldiers escorted valuable caravans, and watchful officials secured the kingdom's trade routes. Maintaining peace became as important as acquiring treasure itself. Every guarded frontier ensured that gold continued flowing toward the Nile rather than disappearing into hostile hands. Yet beyond the kingdom's defenses, ambitious powers were slowly rising, preparing to challenge Egypt's supremacy. During the height of the New Kingdom, Egypt stood among the greatest powers on earth. Victorious military campaigns expanded its influence, while prosperous trade enriched cities already blessed by the Nile. Thebes became a dazzling center where religion, government, and commerce existed side by side. Monumental temples rose higher than ever before, their construction supported by the kingdom's immense resources. Every successful harvest, every caravan, and every foreign tribute reinforced Egypt's remarkable prosperity. Yet maintaining such greatness demanded leaders of extraordinary vision. Not every chapter of Egypt's prosperity was written through conquest. During the reign of Hatshepsut, ambitious trade expeditions demonstrated that diplomacy and commerce could strengthen the kingdom as effectively as military victories. Her famous journey to Punt returned with incense trees, precious woods, rare animals, and valuable goods that enriched both temples and royal treasuries. Monumental building projects celebrated these achievements, leaving enduring records carved into stone. Through careful leadership, Egypt proved that prosperity could flourish through peaceful exchange as well as strength. Generations later, the reign of Amenhotep III represented one of Egypt's most prosperous eras. International diplomacy flourished as neighboring kingdoms exchanged magnificent gifts with the Egyptian court. Letters between rulers reveal requests for gold so abundant that foreign kings believed Egypt possessed an endless supply. Monumental architecture expanded across the land, celebrating peace, stability, and divine kingship. Prosperity reached extraordinary heights. Yet hidden beneath this brilliance, subtle changes were beginning to reshape the kingdom's future in unexpected ways. When Akhenaten ascended the throne, Egypt witnessed one of the most dramatic transformations in its long history. Religious traditions that had guided the kingdom for centuries were challenged as devotion centered upon the Aten, the visible disk of the sun. Temples dedicated to older gods lost influence, while new monuments demanded enormous resources. Although Egypt remained wealthy, the balance between religion, politics, and economics shifted in profound ways. Beneath the brilliance of the new capital, questions about stability quietly began to grow. Following years of religious upheaval, Egypt gradually returned to familiar traditions. Under the reign of the young Tutankhamun and his successors, temples reopened, ancient ceremonies resumed, and the powerful priesthood regained much of its former influence. Resources once devoted to dramatic reforms now strengthened long-established institutions once more. The kingdom sought stability through continuity, drawing confidence from beliefs that had endured for centuries. Yet beyond Egypt's borders, powerful empires continued to rise, ensuring that the struggle to preserve prosperity was far from over. Ramses II sought immortality not only through military triumphs, but through stone itself. Across Egypt, magnificent temples, colossal statues, and monumental cities proclaimed the glory of his reign. These projects required enormous resources: gold, grain, skilled craftsmen, and countless workers drawn from every corner of the kingdom. Monumental architecture became a visible declaration of Egypt's prosperity and stability. Yet behind every masterpiece stood a vast economic system, whose strength had to be renewed season after season, harvest after harvest. While gold dazzled the eye, grain sustained an empire. Every successful harvest filled Egypt's granaries, feeding cities, supporting soldiers, and providing the resources needed to survive years of poor flooding. Grain also served as a valuable medium of exchange, rewarding workers and supporting large building projects throughout the kingdom. Carefully managed reserves protected the population from uncertainty and strengthened royal authority. Long before modern economies measured wealth through currency, Egypt understood that true prosperity began with a dependable harvest beside the Nile. Beyond royal palaces and temple treasuries, Egypt's economy flourished within the rhythm of ordinary exchange. Markets connected villages, craftsmen, farmers, and merchants, allowing goods to move freely along the Nile's natural highway. Pottery, linen, fish, oils, vegetables, tools, and jewelry changed hands each day through systems of barter and carefully measured value. These lively marketplaces reflected a society sustained not only by kings, but by countless families whose labor quietly strengthened the kingdom. Their work formed the foundation beneath Egypt's legendary prosperity. Among Egypt's most remarkable communities lived the artisans of Deir el-Medina, whose skilled hands created the magnificent royal tombs hidden within nearby cliffs. Unlike many workers, these craftsmen left behind detailed records revealing daily life, wages, disputes, and celebrations. Paid largely in grain and essential goods, they occupied a unique place within Egyptian society. Their remarkable craftsmanship transformed stone into eternity, preserving the memory of kings for thousands of years. Even the greatest monuments ultimately depended upon ordinary people with extraordinary talent. For all its astonishing wealth, Egypt could never command the Nile itself. Seasons of weaker flooding threatened harvests, strained royal resources, and tested the resilience of communities across the kingdom. Wise administration and carefully maintained granaries softened these hardships, Yet uncertainty always lingered beneath the surface of prosperity. The same river that had created one of history's richest civilizations remained its greatest source of vulnerability. As generations passed, these challenges would grow more frequent, gradually reshaping the balance of power that had endured for centuries. No empire remains unchanged forever. As centuries passed, Egypt confronted growing pressures from beyond its borders and within its own administration. Maintaining distant territories demanded increasing resources, while ambitious neighboring kingdoms expanded their influence across the Near East. Although the royal treasuries remained impressive, prosperity required constant protection and careful leadership. Wealth that had once seemed limitless now demanded greater effort to preserve. Quietly, the foundations of Egypt's economic supremacy were beginning to shift beneath the surface of everyday life. The magnificent temples that inspire admiration today demanded extraordinary investment during their own time. Stone had to be quarried, transported across vast distances, shaped by master craftsmen, and decorated by generations of artists. Workers required food, tools, clothing, and careful administration. Every monument represented the combined effort of an entire economy working in harmony. These sacred buildings strengthened royal authority and honored the gods. Yet they also reflected the immense financial commitment required to sustain Egypt's monumental ambitions through successive reigns. The immense wealth buried beside Egypt's rulers inspired both reverence and temptation. Royal tombs filled with jewelry, furniture, precious metals, and sacred objects intended for eternity became irresistible targets during periods of instability. Ancient records reveal investigations into organized tomb robberies, reminding us that even sacred places were not beyond human greed. Officials struggled to protect the treasures of the dead, yet changing political circumstances often overwhelmed their efforts. These hidden crimes reflected deeper weaknesses quietly spreading through the kingdom itself. Among the most revealing documents from ancient Egypt describes an extraordinary event. During the reign of Ramses III, workers at Deir el-Medina temporarily halted their labor after delayed deliveries of grain and supplies. Their peaceful protest, carefully recorded by scribes, stands among the earliest documented labor strikes in history. It revealed that even Egypt's skilled artisans depended upon a stable economy to support their families. Behind the splendor of royal monuments, ordinary people experienced the first unmistakable signs that prosperity could no longer be taken for granted. Although many royal tombs were plundered in antiquity, one extraordinary discovery offered the modern world a rare glimpse of Egypt's forgotten wealth. Hidden beneath the sands for centuries, the largely intact tomb of Tutankhamun revealed breathtaking craftsmanship, dazzling gold, and countless objects prepared for a king's eternal journey. These treasures demonstrated not only remarkable artistic achievement, but also the immense economic power that had once sustained the pharaohs. Yet beyond the glittering artifacts remained an even greater legacy: the civilization that created them. For countless generations, Egypt's abundance attracted travelers, merchants, diplomats, and ambitious rulers alike. Its fertile fields fed growing populations, its workshops produced objects of extraordinary beauty, and its gold became a symbol recognized throughout the ancient world. To distant kingdoms, Egypt represented stability, prosperity, and opportunity, unlike any other land along the Mediterranean or Near East. Yet fame carried its own burden. The richer Egypt became, the more its wealth tempted those who dreamed of possessing it for themselves. As Egypt's political independence weakened, new powers recognized the extraordinary value of controlling the Nile Valley. Persian rulers inherited a land whose fertile agriculture, skilled craftsmen, and established administrative systems continued producing remarkable wealth. Though kings changed, the rhythm of the river endured. Fields still yielded abundant harvests, temples remained influential, and trade continued flowing through familiar routes. Egypt's riches proved greater than any single dynasty. They belonged to a landscape whose natural abundance had shaped civilizations for thousands of years. When Alexander the Great entered Egypt in 332 BCE, he encountered a civilization whose wealth and prestige had echoed across the ancient world for centuries. Welcomed as a liberator by many Egyptians, he recognized the kingdom's strategic importance immediately. Along the Mediterranean coast, plans began for a remarkable new city that would connect Egypt even more closely with distant cultures and expanding trade. Though a new era was beginning, it rested firmly upon economic foundations laid by generations of pharaohs before him. Alexandria soon became one of the greatest commercial centers of the ancient Mediterranean. Goods from Africa, Arabia, Asia, and Europe converged within its busy harbors before continuing toward distant markets. Grain harvested along the Nile supplied growing populations far beyond Egypt's borders, while scholars, merchants, and sailors transformed the city into a remarkable meeting place of cultures. Although the age of the pharaohs had passed, Egypt's economic importance remained as powerful as ever. Its wealth continued shaping history under entirely new rulers. Today, much of Egypt's ancient wealth has long since disappeared into history. Gold was melted and reused, treasures were scattered, and countless monuments surrendered to time. Yet beneath layers of desert sand, remarkable discoveries continue revealing how one civilization mastered the relationship between nature, commerce, craftsmanship, and power. Every excavation adds another piece to a story that remains unfinished. The true treasure of ancient Egypt is no longer measured only in gold, but in the enduring knowledge preserved across more than 5,000 years. The greatest records of Egypt's wealth were not written on paper alone. They were carved into stone. Temple walls listed offerings, victories, trade expeditions, and royal gifts with remarkable precision. Even after thousands of years, these inscriptions continue to reveal how resources moved across the kingdom and how prosperity supported both religion and government. Each newly translated text adds another voice to a civilization that never truly disappeared. Though silent, the stones continue speaking to those willing to listen with patience. The Egyptian desert is often imagined as empty, yet beneath its quiet surface rests an extraordinary archive. Villages, workshops, shrines, and forgotten cemeteries remain preserved by the dry climate, waiting to be uncovered. Every excavation enriches our understanding of how ordinary people farmed, traded, worshipped, and built their lives beside the Nile. These discoveries remind us that Egypt's prosperity depended upon countless individuals whose names have faded, even as the evidence of their labor patiently survives beneath the sand. Gold survives where many other materials do not. Untouched by rust or decay, it preserves the brilliance admired by ancient Egyptians thousands of years ago. Today, these treasures allow us to witness not only artistic excellence, but also the remarkable economic system that made such craftsmanship possible. Behind every ornament stood miners, traders, artisans, scribes, and farmers, whose combined efforts transformed raw metal into symbols of eternity. Their achievements continue inspiring wonder across museums throughout the world. Empires have risen and fallen, dynasties have vanished, and cities have changed beyond recognition. Yet the Nile continues its timeless journey toward the Mediterranean, sustaining life just as it did in the age of the Pharaohs. The river remains the enduring thread connecting Egypt's distant past with its living present. Watching its gentle current, it becomes easier to understand why an ancient civilization believed this water carried the gift of renewal. In many ways, Egypt's greatest treasure has always been the Nile itself. To measure Egypt's greatness by its gold alone would overlook its deepest achievements. Knowledge passed from teacher to student, engineering that raised impossible monuments, agriculture that fed millions, and administration that united an immense kingdom all formed part of its remarkable wealth. Gold could decorate a temple, but wisdom preserved a civilization. The true strength of Egypt rested in the harmony between nature, human ingenuity, and shared belief. Together, they created a legacy far richer than treasure alone could ever represent. Ancient Egypt teaches that prosperity rarely depends upon a single resource. Gold, fertile land, skilled labor, careful record-keeping, secure trade routes, and stable government worked together like parts of one living system. When these elements remained balanced, the kingdom flourished for centuries. When that balance weakened, even extraordinary wealth struggled to preserve lasting stability. This quiet lesson continues echoing through history, inviting every generation to consider what truly sustains a civilization over time. For more than 4,000 years, travelers have gazed upon Egypt's monuments with awe. Kings disappeared, languages evolved, and entire empires passed into memory. Yet these enduring structures remained. They remind us that civilizations leave behind more than buildings. They leave ideas, innovations, beliefs, and stories that continue shaping humanity's understanding of the past. Egypt's wealth may have filled treasuries long ago, but its greatest inheritance lives within the curiosity it continues to inspire across the world. When darkness settles over Egypt's ancient temples, it becomes easier to imagine the countless generations who once walked these same paths. Priests carrying sacred offerings, merchants seeking blessings before distant journeys, and rulers hoping their names would outlive mortality have all vanished into history. Yet their footsteps seem to linger within the quiet stone. Time has softened their voices, but not erased them. Every monument invites us to pause, reflect, and remember that even the greatest kingdoms eventually become history. Our journey has revealed that Egypt's hidden wealth extended far beyond glittering treasure. It flowed through the Nile's annual floods, across desert trade routes, within bustling workshops, and through the careful hands of scribes who organized one of history's most remarkable economies. Gold symbolized power, but cooperation created prosperity. Every farmer, artisan, merchant, priest, and ruler contributed to a civilization whose influence endured long after its kingdoms faded. Their shared achievements remain among humanity's greatest historical accomplishments. As the sun slips beyond the western desert, the Nile continues its endless journey, just as it did for the pharaohs thousands of years ago. The gold of ancient Egypt may have been scattered, traded, or buried beneath the sands of time, but its true riches remain. They survive in enduring monuments, timeless works of art, remarkable achievements, and the lessons of a civilization that transformed nature into lasting greatness. Thank you for joining this journey through history. Until our next adventure, may the echoes of the ancient world accompany your dreams.